lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below this video. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Roxanne, Sleeping Warrior, Jose, Physics Warrior, Flat Earth Vegan Goy, Eric, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hiya.
Hello.
So after this show ends, the second channel that I run, which is just called Nathan Oakley, as opposed to Nathan Oakley 1980, will run the pre-show and the little in-between bit between these two live shows, and that'll go out as a premiere on my second channel, so that'll start as soon as this show finishes, so be sure to subscribe. There's a link in the info box, and towards the end I'll make sure you get a link to that so you can chat or continue to chat over on that channel once this show finishes. In that little in-between bit, you'll hear Anthony talking about Arwin coming up with hypothesis and saying that we can't attack these points for various reasons because they'll get annoyed if we attack science. And I don't know, we talk about reification fallacies, but science isn't going to get annoyed if anybody attacks it, Anthony, and I'm gonna drum this into you, and Arwin's not coming up with a hypothesis for anything.
Well, the thing is, I think if you attack the heliocentric model, it's a loaded phrase, as is like flat earther is a loaded phrase. So if you're going to attack flat earther, or you're going to label something as a flat earther, it's loaded. And if you're going to challenge that the heliocentric model is not true, I think what we're better off doing is describing it as the Copernican model, because that way we can pin it on one bloke rather than the whole body of science. Because obviously people like the Rumpus are going to get upset when you say the whole body of science by denoting that it's the heliocentric model. But you're right, the heliocentric model is a reification fallacy because it is based on, or it's treated as though it's true. It's not. I mean, there's loads of things that's wrong with it. So the bottom line is that I think the next 12 months is going to be really interesting because, I mean, I think, like I say, the activism is going to step up a couple of notches, and I've got some really cool irons in the fire at the minute, and I'm hoping that I can use the sway of being in academia to influence some people in positions of authority to give me some time. And if we can do something productive and constructive, I think we'll get this law implemented, and I'm hoping that it's going to go exceptionally well. So I'm looking forward to the next 12 months.
One guy.
Speaking of the Rumpus, I guess he's not out here. Ronnie and Rumpus must have the day off today.
One guy in the chat says you need segregating. No, thanks a bunch.
So at the beginning of the show, let's go back to it. Oh, I've lost my thingy window. There it is. So Roxanne was on 1589 subs at the beginning, and now she's on 1615, is it? Let's have a look. Update that. So it's 99 to 2009. So she's got 25 subs. So that means I think there's 25 people that didn't even know she existed until wasn't aware.
Hello.
I think we lost Anthony temporarily. He's frozen. Should we look at his face?
He's frozen.
Oh no, it won't show. Damn. How can I bring that
One
up? Oh,
one
there we
thing
go.
I think maybe Riley might be missing is going after this religion. It is also going after government. This science and government is very yeesh. I don't know.
Well, they're in the school. They're on the school board. You got to be careful because my friend in Canada, she met. The school board they're quite the controllers. Hey, we're waiting for him to come back. Roxanne's leaving. I was going to ask her what happened to Mark Sargent because we didn't really. I haven't really even heard the story.
Poncho Pete's got the backstage interview with Mark Sargent and Zuma One. You may want to go to this channel and give you a link on that one. But
Yeah,
although, yeah, he left early, so somebody's going to be presenting the awards presumably today. It has to do with a celebrity, I believe, that's considered as an A-list and wound up to be a troll for YouTube. So it's kind of somewhat bad and good with this conference, but that's the backstory and what's happening.
Well, I mean, if you're strong, it would seem like it would be an opportunity to confront a troll. But that's just me. So you're going to put that in the side chat so I can go look at it. I appreciate
Sure,
that.
I'll do it. They'll probably say Metatron versus Decepticon.
Yeah. I got my troll Ronnie. I've had him on my show. I mean, how else are you going to put out your point unless you let someone actually expose who they are?
Oh, correct. So it's about really their actions. That's not what they say.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hate to go off on a tangent. Riley, are you still there?
I think he's dropped. I think maybe his computer froze.
Oh, okay.
He dropped. I think the dog must have eaten the cord or something.
I'm kind of curious as far as his opening presentation and how he's going to present his claims. Whether, if not, he can say actually he's having a hard time proving he lives on a ball, where the burden of proof is upon him to show the evidence, rather than having the body politic showing the glitches and for them to show the burden of proof. So that's what I wanted to discuss with Riley and how he's going to pitch it first beginning for his presentation.
Sure, I could give you an angle on that. I mean, his angle is that they are teaching this, so it is them that are making the assertion whilst talking to children. So his angle is that you're not supposed to teach partisan politics. You're supposed to give an even-sided approach to these things. And in the terms of heliocentricity, it's asserted as fact to children. So that's the angle he's going at. So in terms of him making any claims, well, no, he's challenging the claims that are being taught to children.
But can you just pick it up from there, where as if he was taught as the child and being lied to, just like Santa Claus, or as if I'm here, Anthony Riley, I'm trying to prove that I live in this ball, and yet I'm coming up with all these equations and stuff that doesn't make sense. I think that would be a better or easier debate for Riley rather than shifting it and still, again, having the other panel of body politics to defend or actually prove that the existence of these concepts exist and to be accepted to be true.
I think it makes no odds if they're taught as true.
But anyways, I do think that Riley is doing a really good thing on that side where you guys are at. But where I'm at in America, we're not obligated to tell the truth at all. So there's somewhat of a schism here, and we haven't yet done the research like Riley did with the academia. So we are looking for people out here on this side of the states that can do the same thing as what Riley's doing and make that presentment. So it seems like Riley's going to be the first guinea pig to make this presentment, and we'll see how it works.
Sure, but he's looking for his angle. It's not like he's just found a law that says you must teach children the truth. It's the same. The first brick wall he encountered was exactly that. There is no, there's no document or anything that says you got to be right or truthful. But there is an angle in terms of partisan politics, which is the angle he's found. He said he wouldn't take long to find his angle, and he was right. He showed it me for the first time maybe a week ago, and I was like, wow, cool angle. They are
Excellent.
teaching this as fact, and ultimately speaking, it's a political view. So why isn't it giving the opposite side to this political view in terms of our world outlook, in terms of global warming, in terms of, any speech that's come from Barack Obama where he says we haven't got time to discuss the other view? It's like, really? Oh, okay. Well, according to the British education system, you're not allowed to do that. You must present both sides of the argument.
We don't have time for a meeting with the Flat Earth Society.
Exactly. Oh, really? Wow. Thanks for making it a political issue, Mr. Obama.
A little segue, a little different subject. Reading some of the comments in the chat, the bowlers don't have any argument because what they attack is personalities. They say Mark Sargent is control opposition, just like Steer, Oakley, Roxanne, Globe, John Smith. So what does that have anything to do with Earth, flat Earth, or round Earth, or whatever?
Yeah,
Why do they
exactly.
have to
I've never
attack
once denied
personalities?
my affiliation with MI5, and yeah, they do pay me, but I'm being held at gunpoint. So, ultimately, when you're being held at gunpoint and then they say, look, we'll blow your brains out, or you have to go and lie to the world about flat Earth, and we'll pay you, obviously I'm going to take every penny and lie to the world about flat Earth, because that's exactly how the world works, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
That's what Pete says.
Really? Okay, so you're literally going to draw that as a parallel as opposed to the total farce that I put it out as. You're going to say that is actually true for P. Mars?
No, I don't. I have my suspicions, but I don't have my claims on P. Mars. But I have my strong suspicions. Same thing with Ronnie.
Yeah, Riley is quite dodgy. I've always thought it. I've never trusted him.
No, it's a guy you probably haven't seen. His name's Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie. I
Ronnie.
mean, yeah, Anthony's perfectly
Ronnie
legit. Sorry, I
O'Sullivan.
take that back. Retracted.
But Ronnie and the Rumpus have the day off today. I think they had a lodge meeting that went late last night.
Is that Ronnie like Jason and Ronnie from the Limitless channel?
No, he's a guy called Ronnie O'Sullivan, aka Seaside whatever, aka Joseph Stalin. He changes rather than banning him. I just let him talk now because he can change emails like within 10 seconds and he's back. So there's no banning him.
Yeah, trolls are welcome.
Well, he was in the chat yesterday here and on Jamie's chat and on Ken's chat, basically calling everybody a Nazi and whatnot. So,
Of course, they have no claims for the globe. They have no proof, so they have to attack the persona.
Sounds more like he's a social justice warrior. They call everybody Nazis.
yeah, Nazis, racist, everything, basically telling that people need to be taken and put into a cell and have needles put into them. So basically supporting the idea that men with violence should have authority over everybody else with no evidence that they have that authority in the first place. Kind of like taxation. You get taxed you're attacked to pay the tax, because if you weren't attacked to pay the tax, you wouldn't pay the tax, now would you?
So, does anybody actually know what the dealio between Mark and Logan Paul is then?
Yeah, I was waiting for I'm going to post a link in the side chat. I'm still waiting for that. I'd love to see what happened here.
I'm still waiting
Maybe
too. I just sent out the word.
Roxanne, you might know more because you were talking to him all last night. Can you go over what happened with Mark Sargent yesterday?
So all I'm aware of is that is it Logan Paul? Name Logan Paul? Huh? The guy that filmed that forest where a lot of people had killed themselves. And and he kind of went viral. So he's got a lot of followers, like millions of followers. And I think that Logan Paul, if I'm right, went there to kind of mock the event. But I think Mark Sargent went on a hangout with Zulu One to talk about it, as far as I'm aware.
Well, if you have any links to put in the side chat,
Yeah, let me just try and have a look for that just now. Also, Eco Dave Media has got a piece of content that I will share in the chat room as well, that he got from the conference as well, of Logan Paul talking to someone else. They were kind of going back and forth, and there was another young, in fact, looked like there was a teenager there as well, quite a kid, probably my daughter's age. I'm just gonna pop that in. Just give me a second, guys, and I'll get these links.
So,
Welcome,
hey, Alan.
Alan B.
Got a new guest. Hey, Alan. How you doing?
Hello, boys. Great show again.
Thank you. Much obliged.
I think he just Alan just posted that link in there. That's good. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you so much, Ellen. That's great. Hi, nice to meet you.
You're welcome, Roxanne. You look like you're on one of those shows where they sell those fake diamonds. You're going to sell me anything today?
I'm not selling any no cons here. There's just some info behind me that kind of backs up how we've been lied to.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone can. My camera's really crap, so I don't know if anyone will be able to see that. But there's some information there regarding how the lie's been perpetuated. And there's a website on there as well at the top that says, well, it's a bit ruffled up there, www.festart.co.uk. And I'll send some people there to a friend of mine, Jason of the Disbury.
You'll have to repeat that website name, Roxanne. Sorry to interrupt.
Pardon?
It sounded like FE farts. Can you repeat the website
name? festart.co.uk.
festart.co.uk. Brilliant.
Yes.
I think I might buy fefarts.com.
I also put the link in that back hangout, so if you guys see it, it's under Metatron versus Decepticon.
That's a great title, by the way. I don't know who came up with that.
Jibby.
That's excellent.
My computer just died on me.
I suspect.
What did I miss?
Oh, it's been absolutely dramatic. Somebody died.
I know what I missed. I missed Alan B giving some evidence for a gas pressure next to without a container next to space, didn't I?
Tony, is gas pressure and atmospheric pressure the same thing?
Gas pressure and atmospheric pressure?
Yes.
Well, depends. Do you mean the function or do you mean the substance?
Both.
No, they're not
the same thing.
Gas pressure as a function is different to gas pressure. Atmospheric pressure is different to gas pressure as a function, but as a substance, they're both identical. So, about that container.
Lovely red herring. That was beautiful.
Did you enjoy that, Nathan?
It was wonderful. Doesn't give us any closure on that space.
Did you hear that? How on earth did you with me?
Ooh.
Things have changed, Tony. Doesn't get us closer to believing in space, though.
So, about that container, Al.
What about it?
Where's the container that has the gas pressure in it that we breathe?
Oh, can we not do this in the after show so Nathan can get an excellent clip of you lot shouting at me?
No, I'm quite happy to do it now.
Why?
Well, because we had a little offer hangout, a little offer tete-a-tete, and you were asking, can we not just have a normal conversation? And I said, no, we can't. We don't do normal conversation, Al.
Come on, Alan, say it. You know you can. It's gravity.
I'm more interested in why Mark Sargent's gone home.
Why?
Well, from what I glean, it's because Logan Paul was there, and I don't know anything about him. I heard the whispers about the guy when he went to the suicide forest. That's about it. That's all I know about him.
What?
Yes, that was rather distasteful. He did that.
Yeah,
too.
that's all I know about him as well. That's all I know.
In Japan, he actually showed a dead body.
That guy is completely overwhelmed with popularity and he can't handle it. That guy is crazy.
Mm.
I mean, I didn't see the video, but I saw the stills with him with a Pikachu hat on, and that in itself, you know, that's disgraceful. How can you wear a Pikachu hat?
It was very rude to Japanese people as well. Their culture is very strong over there. Certain things you shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
What did he do?
Like eating and walking in the street. You know, you don't do that in Japan.
Eating and walking in the street, you can't do in Japan.
No, you don't do that in Japan, Tony. No.
For what reason?
You just don't. It's not the done thing.
Fucking hell, that'd be hard on a Saturday night with a kebab, wouldn't it?
It would. You'd be in dire straits.
So what do? You have to eat it in private dwellings?
People usually eat outside the convenience store or indoors, just outside the door. You'll never see a Japanese person walking with a hamburger or a kebab or a drink.
And what's the reason for that? I know it's a culture thing, but what?
Hold on, we've got a correction. Logan Paul's brother did the suicide thing, not Jake, not Logan.
Oh, Jake Paul. There's two of them, isn't there?
Now I'm even more confused.
Me too.
I don't think it's relevant. I don't know anything about it.
It's not relevant. It doesn't matter if we've got the right person. Who cares?
I just don't know who he is, and I don't know what the beef is. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a story at this point. I'm sure he'll publicly declare it or whatever, and he'll be outcast or whatever. I don't know, but at this point, he's just got a difference of opinion. It seems. I don't know any more than that, and until we get the
Seems a strange thing to do, though, to keep somebody like that, you know, as a secret when most people presenting would probably not agree with him being there in the first place. Seems pretty weird, Tony.
So if it was kept a secret, that means that either it's an error in judgment on behalf of somebody, or it was intentional.
I don't know. Bob did it, didn't he?
I don't
Bob?
know.
Mm.
Who do you mean, Bob? You mean Robbie?
Bob.
Bob?
Bob.
Bob Nodell?
Skiba.
Oh, Rob Skiba.
Oh, Rob.
Bob.
What? Why are you calling me Bob? There's no
What are we
Bob
talking about
Skiba.
here? We just keep saying Bob. What? Can you give us a surname? Maybe a hint at who you're talking about.
Bob Skiba.
That's Rob. Skiba.
Rob with an R.
Yeah. You're mixing up Bob Nodell with Rob Skiba, maybe.
No. Anybody called Rob is Bob, yes?
Yeah, but he doesn't call himself Bob. Bob calls himself Bob.
That's new. That's new to me. Sorry, Rob and Bob are
interchangeable.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they are. But Rob Skiba doesn't call himself Bob, and everybody calls Bob Nodell Bob.
Hey,
I
Rob
suppose
Nodell.
right, because of course Robert, Bob. Yeah, okay, that now makes more sense.
It's like Will and Bill. Like Will and Bill.
Nathan, you stick
like,
with me.
like Dick and Richard.
I got there in the end. Okay, I'm a bit slow today. Sorry, Alan.
But you mean like Dick and Richard?
So hang on a sec. So let's just go back to the story.
Richard III, commonly known as Dick the Shit.
Alan, are you saying that Rob Skiba's responsible for this guy being there that Mark Sargent doesn't like, and that's why he left?
I think there's a number of things. The first thing would be he doesn't like the two brothers and doesn't agree with the way they carry themselves and what they do for a living. So that's the first thing.
What do they do for a living? Don't they make YouTube videos?
Oh, they're awful people, Nathan.
But
They're
don't they just
evil.
make? Are they YouTubers? Is that what they do for a living?
Yes.
Well, they're just YouTubers then, right?
It's the way they carry themselves, the way they exploit the rather young audience and don't set a good example to them.
Are you saying that they're worse than Nathan, Alan?
I wouldn't go that low, Tony.
Just don't tune in. Don't watch them. Easy.
So what was the second point you were going to make?
That it was kept from the people presenting and they weren't told about it.
Yeah, I remember it was hyped up as a big secret and not many people actually knew about it. And I thought that was like bravado, like people obviously did know about it, but maybe they actually didn't. But are you saying that's down to Rob Skiba?
Yes. What I'm saying as well, a third point would be most people don't even know who he is. So why would it be of any interest to people interested in FE?
I agree. I don't know who he is.
Okay,
Seems
well,
weird.
I knew who he was, but that doesn't, I think it's a stroke of genius. He's stirred a bit of controversy. People
I think
are talking about his event.
it's only fair to say at this point, all we know is that one of those Logan, Jake Paul brothers turned. I'm not sure which one it was now because I'm a bit confused. But I think other than that, anything's just speculation. I don't know if we can start insinuating it was anybody's particular fault that the guy was there in the first place. So I don't know if I can agree with saying it's Rob's issue.
Well, Mark said
I think that's speculation, isn't it?
Mark threw him under the bus, so there you go.
Oh, really? Well, then I stand
In what
corrected if
sense?
that's the case.
Well,
I think-
Did I miss something? What happened?
I don't know what's going on.
Come on, Arwen, are you not keeping up with the flat Earth debate?
they landed on the moon, Arwen. It's amazing.
And they found there was gravity there.
Yeah.
And Roxanne showed the fourth wall. She's not in a NASA headquarters or a freaking MK Ultra office.
Yeah.
So thank you for showing the camera around the house. You're not in a controlled YouTube office.
Oh, yeah, you got
cubicle.
to see the fourth wall when I went to go and make my coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I'm broadcasting live from the ice wall, Arwen.
Right.
And we
But no, I think with the none of us being at the event ourselves, I'm not sure that we should, even if people have thrown people under the bus and gone on to interviews, none of us were there in person. So I don't know
It's just
how useful
drama.
that is.
This sounds like a lot of gossip.
Yeah, it's drama.
Which I don't like being part of. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah, but the people love it. So, stroke of genius as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I suppose in our language it'd be like inviting Sly Sparkane to be the chief speaker or whatever he was promoted as.
Arwen, is your dad's name Dick?
Yep. Yeah.
Richard.
Well, yeah. If he would go to England or America or anywhere like that, he would probably introduce himself as Richard, unless the people already know him. But yeah, it's a normal name in the Netherlands. So
Imagine that as your nickname, though. Dick.
Do you remember seeing that scene out of that one that I can't remember what his name is. The guy the host of the show was out of Coronation Street, and he was asking a question, and the person's name, it was to identify what sport the person played, and the person's real name was Fanny Schmeller. And he was rolling around on the floor laughing. He couldn't pick himself up. It was hilarious just watching him react. I can't remember what his name was now. The Cockney guy in Coronation Street.
Mike Baldwin?
No, his son. He was dating Frankie.
How about Dick Butkus, Alan?
God,
Have you heard of him
somebody
before?
shoot me.
Who said that?
Warrior.
You sound bored, Nathan.
No, I love talking about Coronation Street. This is just one of my favourite Flat Earth subjects. Best segue ever. I'm just waiting for that angle back into Flat Earth.
There is none.
we should have our own
Nathan's
Flat Earth
waiting
gossip
for-
magazine.
Nathan's waiting for a baller to destroy.
If you just research Fanny Schmeller, you'll see it on YouTube. It's funny as hell.
Shall we?
Don't you think we should have like our own Flat Earth gossip magazine?
I'll kick that off. Shall
That
we?
would be hilarious.
Shall we talk
And
about-
so it's always
Yeah,
stupid.
go ahead, Arwen.
But it's
start
really
that up.
funny.
It really is.
Shall we talk about Gem Panda's
It's
last
always
video?
ridiculous.
Not well. I haven't watched it. Have you watched it, Nathan? I know it's about you, Nathan, but have you watched it?
I didn't know it's about me. I haven't watched it, no.
I haven't watched it either. So, Alan, what is there to talk about if we haven't seen it?
Are you not going to watch it?
He's full of shit. The guy's a liar. Why would I
Hey,
bother?
hold on a second. Hey, Paul J. How you doing? No sound. No sound.
You're not on mute. Your mic's not working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
you
to
check
the settings. Settings.
Check
top,
the settings.
Top of the screen. Cog. Go to your mic. Select the right mic.
We
Anyway,
see
good to
a
have
lip
you.
moving, but nothing's coming out.
And now you're muted. Oh.
Bye.
He might join again.
He might be
So Nate,
rejoining.
so you guys watched the Children of Flat Earth documentary by Jim Pande?
No, that's what we're talking about now, or not talking about. No, we haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Jose?
I seen the first like 10, 15 minutes. It's entertaining. It's something, you know, it's different.
How long is it? Because he normally makes massive videos, and I can't be bothered with them all.
I don't think it's too long. Maybe
10
half an hour, 40 minutes.
Oh, right, that's a lot better.
2 10 minutes, a 16 and a 10.
So, is there any, what? How can you critically acclaim it, Alan? Is it worthy of watching? How would you promote this to us to encourage us to watch it?
Well, it's quite interesting if your name's Nathan.
For what reason?
There's at least 12 lies that Nathan gets caught out in.
Hang on, are these lies in the opinion of Jem Panda?
Well, if you do the research.
So they are lies.
The same. We're talking about the same Jim Panda who's landed on the moon.
In other
That
words,
Jim Panda?
just yes.
I think the thing with Jem Panda's perception of lies is if you disagree with him, he calls you a liar. It's literally that simple.
We got sound from Paul J.
Yeah, we can hear Paul.
You do?
Yeah.
Was it okay? Okay, it's the first time in a hangout. Thought I'd liven it up a little bit.
Coming through perfect.
Good. Okay. So my background. I am an ex-geodetic surveyor. So I'd like to
breaking up for me.
Are you when you say
Am I still breaking up?
No, you're good. Are you retired or did
Okay.
you...
I changed. I'm actually in my 50s. I'm in a completely different industry. I was firstly I have a Bachelor of Applied Science in surveying. Did it in Australia. I now live in Texas. I left surveying mainly because of climate. Put it this way, I like being comfortable, and when you are surveying out in the field, it's either too hot, too cold, too wet, too windy, too snowy, too dusty, and it's lonely. You don't get to meet a lot of people, other than your survey support team. And there's some funny stories about that in the old days. So anyway, getting back to it, my surveying background is based in the 1980s, okay, as GPS was just coming in. So I have experience in GPS, but the bulk of what I would be happy to talk about would be pre-GPS, which is all the optics and the manual measurement methods. And I guess Anthony's discussion with Miles about a day and a half ago prompted me to come on.
Cool. So what can you tell us?
Sorry, I missed that.
What can you tell us?
Well, what do you want to start with?
Is geodetic survey actually empirical, or is it based purely in maths and it's like pseudoscience?
No, it's empirical.
How can you?
In other words, well, let's start with one in particular. Can we do a desktop share?
Yeah, you've got a top left-hand corner. You've got
The
a green
green screen button.
with an arrow pointing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm a little bit slow on Hangouts.
Don't worry about it.
Let's do entire screen. So you should be. Let's talk about this one. Can we see a diagram there now?
We certainly can.
Cool. Just out of interest, is the red lines, green lines, and blue lines visible to most people, or is it too fine?
Well, I'm colorblind, so you'll have to bear with me. So is Nathan.
That's fine. So there is an assumption here, and it's the only assumption that is involved with what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And I'd like the agreement from the panel to see whether this assumption is worthwhile or whatever the word is. And that assumption is, I've got a picture in the top left there, which is a plumb bob. So does the panel agree that a plumb bob points perfectly down in the vast majority of situations? I'm not talking about whether it's caused by gravity or buoyancy and density, just whether the plumb bob does point perfectly down.
Yeah,
when it is perfectly stationary, yes.
Sorry, down. What do you mean down? Down's a relative term.
Sure, Nathan. Take the normal approach, which is there's perfectly up and perfectly down. I'm talking about leveling here.
So should we say vertical?
So
let's use the
call
word
it vertical. Sure. But I'm just getting to the point that it is perfectly vertical at your current location.
So,
Yeah.
well, let's just see if that assertion or presumption extends a little further. So we've got your plumb bob, and it's dangled, let's say, at the North Pole. Yeah? And then you've got the same plumb bob, and it's dangled at the equator. Are they both pointing down?
For each person, they are.
So, relative to each other, are they both pointing in the same direction?
If the Earth is a globe, no,
Oh,
we're not
so
pointing in the same direction.
we are.
If, I
So
said
we're
if.
assuming the Earth is a globe then.
No,
he's
no,
not.
I'm not.
Not yet. He's not.
Well,
Let's
hold
go.
on.
I'm curious.
I don't know what's the plumb bob
Yeah.
for then.
It's to give you a
It's
perpendicular.
something we're going to come back to. Exactly. It is to do with leveling. Okay. So on this particular page, let me zoom it in a little bit. Had people like Chris Van Matra and some others. I can never pronounce his name properly. I'm
Jesse
sorry.
Kozlowski.
Chris. Yeah. So Chris has been using certain levels in the past. I'd be happy to have a chat about some shortcomings with what Chris was talking about the last week or so. But in this example, these are particular geodetic levels. Okay. There's two examples here, as a Carl Zeiss NI2 and a Wild N3. The reading accuracy of a somewhat trained observer, you just got to get your eyes used to it, means that you can read to 0.02 of a millimeter. Okay. Is there any dispute at this stage about manufacturers' specifications on this sort of equipment?
Nope.
Sorry,
Or the fact that I've had personal experience
0.2
with it?
millimeter over what distance?
That's a really good question. Okay, let me explain on that one.
So
Can I
what's the answer?
skip that question for a second and just
No.
understand something here from
Over what distance? Why would you
Nathan?
presumably? So you're telling me that if I look at something over a meter and then look over a 10-mile expanse, it's going to be the same? Of course not.
No,
Right.
of course I
So
didn't say that.
so that accuracy,
So-
unless it's relative to a distance, is meaningless, isn't it?
Is that
I'm
an
about to
angular?
explain it if you
Is
let
it an
me.
angular size indication?
Hang on, let's be nice to the guest. I want to hear where he's going, but you understand that this is the point that I was making with Miles the other day, right?
Is
Yes,
it,
I do.
Let's
And
be
I know
nice to the
exactly
guest.
what the point is. So give me a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. A typical geodetic survey using this style of equipment is a situation where you have, in the diagram there, point A and point B. You put the level between the two exactly halfway. The normal distance on older equipment is 50 feet from A to B. Okay, so the
Can I just ask you a
level
question? I'm
is
sorry.
25
Sorry
feet.
to interrupt.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry. So, what are we looking through to see this view? What piece of equipment gives us this view? So,
You see those
sorry,
pictures
back out again. Sorry. So that,
You want me to go back up?
yeah, zoom back out so I can see what we're looking at. So that piece of equipment gives us this side-on view, does it?
Well, imagine that box in the middle right now is the side of.
Sorry,
this.
I heard you say the word
So if I was to
imagine. Sorry, shall I repeat my question? What piece of
Please.
equipment gives us, zoom back out again and show us your diagram. What piece of equipment gives us this view?
This is not giving us a view here, Nathan. This is showing that. So this is the piece of equipment. If I was looking at something, my eye would be roughly. I'm going to draw it badly here. That's my head.
it's an
And I'm
orthographic.
Sorry, do I need to ask my question again? It's a very simple question. You've got a diagram on screen showing us stuff that we should be seeing and looking at and paying attention to what happens in this view that you're showing us. Are we getting this view from one of these pieces of equipment?
No,
Why are you showing us this view?
because you asked some questions, and I'm going to explain something particularly related to what Anthony was saying.
I still don't understand. You've shown us some equipment, then now you're telling us about something that we're observing, but we're not looking at the view that the equipment gives us. we're looking at a side profile of an observation taking place that no one's actually going to observe at any stage through a camera or anything else, correct?
Gotta love the orthographic view.
Just let him answer.
Nathan, can you give me 30 seconds to say something?
Well, I'm asking you a question. My first question was, what piece of equipment gives us this view? And you showed us that piece of equipment. Now I've got clarity, and it seems no piece of equipment gives us this view. We'll never be establishing this view. This view is never considered, and you're not going to have a piece of equipment taking this view, correct?
Nathan, I'm trying to explain how it works.
Well, I'm just asking. Okay, I'll ask again for a fourth time. What piece of equipment gives us this view?
Oh, AutoCAD.
Oh, so just computer rendering then? Nothing to do with these pieces of equipment you've got drawn next to this view then?
Nathan, I can show you pictures from inside the equipment.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what your diagram reference is. What does your diagram reference to do with these pieces of equipment? Why have you got this diagram next to them when this diagram means nothing? It's not any of the equipment view whatsoever. I don't understand why we're in this view.
It's an assist to his explanation.
I'm not asking you, Arwin.
Nathan, is to show you how geodetic surveyors achieve accuracies of better than 1 millimeter over 1 mile. For leveling.
So over this view?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not taking anything from this view.
Nathan, let him speak. I want to hear what he's got to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, if you don't want the discussion to happen, I'd love to have another hangout with Anthony, because I think he's really on the wrong track with sticking.
Oh, my bad. I asked you which piece of equipment took this view. You zoomed in on a piece of equipment. Now it turns out this view didn't come from that piece of equipment. My bad. Sorry. That's obviously my fault that you got the wrong answer to my question. That's my fault, is it? My bad. Yeah, sod off with Anthony then. What, because I pointed out when I asked what gave us this view, nothing gives us this view. It's nothing to do with the equipment on screen. It's just a view you've drawn on a computer. Okay, thank you for the answer. That's very much obliged. Now I understand. Don't know why you didn't say that the first time when I asked. Let's move on. No problem. My bad.
Okay, so I continue.
The difference is Nathan's not keen on begging the question, and I don't mind exploring it. And that's why
even going there.
But my question at this point is: are these these are theodolites, right?
No, they're not.
Are they dumpy levels?
Let's call it an extremely accurate version of a dumpy level.
Are they? Do they have collimation adjustments in them?
Yes, they do.
Right. So that's what we're going to be talking about, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
This is at a very high level to start with, okay, guys? But you need to understand the concept here.
Go
the
for
blue
it.
line, okay, that blue line and this blue line, okay? If you have a collimation error, now I will say to Anthony that in his discussions about collimation being a, let's call it a prismatic error or a lens error, is completely wrong in terms of surveying. A collimation error is when your crosses...
Hang on, that's not true. That's not true.
Now you let him speak.
Hang on, Chris Van Metre and Samuel Robotham both disagree with that statement. So why are you saying that's true? That's the opposite way around to what they're saying. Can I just ask, have you watched Chris Van Matre's discussion with Jesse Kozlowski?
Oh, absolutely.
So therefore, one of them must be completely wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
So then my question is, if you're a geodetic surveyor and Jesse Kozlowski is a geodetic surveyor, wouldn't it make common sense for you to have this discussion with Chris Van Matre, given that he is a surveyor that we're not? Are we not underskilled in terms of this discussion?
2 points to that. One is that Chris has decided not to continue, as far as I know, with any discussions about his claims. He just doesn't think it's worthwhile. And the other is that Anthony, yesterday, roughly, you were out there saying that you're siding with Chris and you believe that Jesse is ignorant about collimation. So I'm happy to say, if you don't want it on this show, we can move it to a hangout.
No. Well, I spoke to Chris Van Matre about 10 minutes before the show started, and I can guarantee you that he is absolutely up for this discussion because he understands it. My question is, are we the right people to be discussing this with? What I'm saying is, would you not consider doing a hangout?
Okay. if you let me get across this concept for one more minute, very quickly to explain something. So you give me 1 minute and then you can decide to shut me down. Okay?
Go.
Is that a yes?
Go.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Okay. So let's say that there is an error in the leveling equipment here. By having the level in the middle between the two staffs, or in the US it's called rods, the error is cancelled. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the error is in the equipment, the error is cancelled between A and B.
Finish.
That's the contentious
Let him
point.
finish. 1 minute for fuck's sake.
No, I didn't hear what Anthony said, so say it, Anthony.
That's the contentious point. That's not, you say that that's cancelled out, but that's not what Robotham said in the citation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the citation from Robotham, and I want you to tell me why Robotham's wrong. So Nathan, would you mind presenting my screen and we'll go through this? Nathan?
I'm trying to get hold of Chris Van Maytree. Just give me a second.
He's in the convention, isn't he?
Well, while they're waiting, I mean, look it up, Anthony, but are you saying that the error in a telescope, for whatever reason, is non-linear? In other words, it's worse if you point it in one direction than the other?
That's exactly what Robotham says, yes.
No, he's wrong. And I'm not going by theory here, I'm going by practice.
Yeah, but in practice, he demonstrates how you can show that he's right. And I wonder whether you've done this test to disprove him. Let me find it. Bear with me.
Okay, sure.
Right, here we go. It says on screen. Can you see my screen?
No, I can't. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm in the wrong window.
Just click on
Stupid me. Yeah. I just see the normal... Do I need to drop my screen share to do that?
You need to go back to the chat hangout window and then click on the thumbprint at the bottom, a little square box of me. It might be actually because I'm screen sharing. Let me turn my camera off. It might be something to do with playing the camera.
No.
Right, okay, so... All right, so...
I'm sleeping. Which one are you doing?
This one, yep.
It's just a screen full of blue text. Can you see that?
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I'll read from Robotham's paper. And I'm not claiming, all I'm telling you is what it says in here. It says, these comparative experiments cannot fail to satisfy any unbiased observer that in every leveling instrument, that would include yours, where lenses are employed, there is of necessity more or less divergence of the line of sight from true axis. And that, however small the amount, perhaps inappreciable over short lengths of observation, it is considerable in distance.
Hello, Chris. We're currently doing a hangout, so you are live, just to warn you. Have you got 5 minutes spare? I know you're about to go into the conference starting. Feel free to say no if you haven't, or you don't want to be live on air.
Hey, Robert, okay? Robert, okay? I think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to bring Chris in at this point because he's clearly in the conference hall, isn't he?
No, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I think he was okay.
It's almost...
I wouldn't think it's fair.
Was that, and it's okay or it's not okay? No.
Yeah, drop it. It's not going to work.
No, fair enough. It was worth a try.
I mean, it would have if it would have worked, it would have been great. But let me continue, and then you can tell me where Robotham's wrong. He says, where lenses are employed, there is of necessity more or less divergence of the line of sight from true or normal. And that, however small the amount, perhaps inappreciable over short lengths of observation, it is considerable in distances of several miles. In this case, 50 miles or 50 kilometers, 30 miles for the bridge or whatever. Every scientific surveyor of experience is fully aware of this, apart from Jesse Kozlowski and perhaps yourself, maybe, depends on what you say next, and other peculiarities in all such instruments, and is always ready to make allowances for them in an important survey. As a still further proof of this behavior of the telescope leveling instruments, the following simple experiment may be tried. Select a piece of ground, a terrace, promenade, line of railway, or embankment, which shall be perfectly horizontal for, say, 500 yards. Let a signal staff 5 feet high be erected at one end and a theodolite or spirit level fixed and carefully adjusted to exactly the same altitude at the other end. The top of the signal will then be seen a little below the crosshairs, although it has the same actual altitude and stands upon the same horizontal foundation. If the position of the signal staff and the spirit level then be reversed, the same will follow. But that's the opposite of what you've just said, because you said that one can cancel the other out.
Nothing that I've said. I'm going to dispute certainly a lot of what he says, but what he says there is perfectly in line. Can I have my screen back?
Hang on. No, not yet. Perfectly in line with what?
Okay. If you have a piece of equipment that if you look at something and it diverges away, and I'm just making up numbers here. There's nothing true about this, okay? If it diverges down an inch over 50 feet, which is extreme, it diverges down an inch everywhere around that piece of equipment at a distance of 50 feet, yeah?
Which is what he says.
Yeah. So when we go back to my drawing where I put the level directly in the middle of two leveling staves, the error at each staff is exactly the same.
Right.
Okay, which means that regardless of the error in the level, the measurement difference, if you want to call it the height difference between A and B, is absolutely accurate.
Accurate in what?
Sorry, did you say the comparative distance? Comparing it how? Was it comparing it using that view that you gave us a moment ago?
Well, I'm saying if we're measuring from point A to work out the height difference or elevation difference to point B, and you've got a piece of equipment that allows you to do this to 0.0002 of a meter,
Right.
your measurement will be correct to that accuracy if you do it correctly, if the level equipment is right in the middle of those 2 points.
Right, but you do realize that in actual observations, in 3D observations, there are other effects at play that you can't demonstrate with autographic views, right? Like diffraction, for example. Like,
okay, can you tell me what the diffraction is over 25 feet?
Yeah, but diffraction works on any distance depending on the observer height over the surface watching.
Hang on. So you said, can you tell me what the diffraction is over 25 feet? Do you agree that there is an element of error over 25 feet?
Yes, but it is substantially less than 0.0002 of a millimeter.
Yeah, but the point is when it's over 50, 60, 70 miles or kilometers, that the effect on that is prominent.
Depends what you want to call prominent. So here's the next part. If you do this if you do it every 50 feet over a mile, okay? So you've got, what's that? 100 setups, 120 setups or something. The accuracy over a mile for an N2 done correctly, which means including putting up umbrellas to shield the equipment, doing special things with the rods so that they are perfectly vertical, having metal bars banged into the ground 6 feet down so they do not move, all that good stuff. Your accuracy over a mile, having done it 100 times, like 100 steps, is better than 1 millimeter.
Fine. So what's the accuracy over 50 kilometers or 30 miles?
You need to get into an extra step on this, which is you very rarely would run a 50 or 60 mile level run without tying into existing surveys done before.
Right,
And
which is our point, of course, against people like the Rumpus who claim that you can measure the radius of the Earth with a theodolite pointing at the horizon.
Well, I haven't got to that part yet.
No, I'm preempting you, I agree. What's your point, though?
Okay, I just want to explain this is how you would do it over a mile, okay? Can I have my screen back for a minute?
Well,
show a different screen.
What? Let's jump this step. Why can't you demonstrate it over 30 miles?
Well, you could. You won't.
In
Who
one
really wants to do the work? Here's the thing: if you do a mile of geodetic leveling, you are looking at 4 to 5 hours for 5 people or 4 people, with the old equipment, not new equipment. So here's the thing: is that the big thing about surveying is it's not about necessarily learning whether the Earth is round or flat. It is about measurement theory and measurement skill, and knowing that every measurement has errors in it.
I agree.
Okay? The errors start from. Let me pull up the thing.
But we hang on. The point that we're trying to establish here is what level of accuracy is there with the diffraction or the refraction that goes through the lens of the theodolite over a great distance. Now, we accept that there's a little bit over a mile and it's like a fraction of an inch or whatever. But the point is that the fact that the light goes through the lens at all creates the bending of light applying Snell's law. Now, it's not that much over a mile, I agree. But we're not talking about a mile with Miles's observation. We're talking anywhere between 30 and 50 miles. So the question becomes, what is the effect with what we see, the photo that was taken, when light is being bent through the lens as it enters the camera? And Robotham says it's significant over several miles. You say not. I say how so? And you say, well, because you don't agree with Robotham.
Here's the thing. So when you set up a mile-long series of levels, okay, so we've got levels every 50 feet. We got that so far that we know the elevation of each point, this rod on the ground, every 50 feet is accurate to better than 1 millimeter over the entire mile, yeah?
So what?
If we then set, yeah, okay, I'd love to show a picture, or a diagram, not a picture, because that'll make Nathan angry. If you then set a theodolite at one end of the mile and a target at the other end of the mile, where they are set at exactly the same elevation, yeah? On a flat Earth, when you sight through that line, which has not been set by zenith angles or anything, it's purely based on this 1 millimeter accuracy level run, and then remeasure the points from that line down to each of the 50-foot points, there is actually a 2.5-inch rise and fall along that line.
Okay, but that's not the same. That's not a valid comparison because we're not doing that.
No,
Take a photograph of a horizon.
No, but it's about to be, because the question is, if you had the distortion that Robotham claims, then the distortion wouldn't be up and down. It would be either up or down. It wouldn't be up and down.
I'm sorry, I'm being attacked by the dogs.
That's right.
I'm going to just. Can you repeat that last line that you said again?
Yeah, sure. We've got this leveled section. We've got a theodolite at one end. I don't need a theodolite. It could just be a standard telescope with a crosshair, right? We've got a target at the other end. We're looking from point A to point B, and this is, if it was a flat Earth, this would be a perfectly level sight line.
No, it wouldn't.
When you measure down,
No, it wouldn't. Things
Yes, it
drop
would.
towards the horizon with distance. That's why I
I'm looking
objected
at
to
the
you.
horizon.
Oh, you're going to talk all over me. So, when I objected to your view, if you're going to say things will have a perfectly straight line between them, I will say no. The thing that you look at in the distance will get smaller and therefore closer to the horizon. So it will drop.
No, it doesn't, Nathan.
Sorry, hold on. What do you mean, no, it doesn't? So you're saying things don't get closer to the horizon and drop and get smaller as you get further away from them? That doesn't happen. Things maintain their actual size, do they? No. Perspective rules. As you get further away from something, it gets closer to the horizon. So a 6-foot man, when he stood right next to you, and you're 6 foot high, you're eye to eye and exactly the same height, the horizon might be considerably lower than him. But as he backs away from you, he will get closer and closer to that horizon, dropping, getting smaller as he gets further away. That's perspective. There's no straight line. What are you talking about? In your diagram there is, but there's no instrument taking a picture of that diagram, is there, as we established?
It's
That's
just
correct.
conceptual.
There's no picture there. It's conceptual to explain what I'm trying to get across to you because I don't have a theodolite in front of me to show you. Here's the thing. Perspective, the vanishing point of the perspective in a telescope is centered on the crosshair axis through straight line through the telescope. It has nothing to do with horizon.
Right, but what
Depends on
you're
what
doing,
you're looking at.
hang on, what you're doing is the same as arguing that the curvature is only 8 inches every mile. So if you were to put your theodolite over a mile and measure just 8 inches and measure 8 inches and measure 8 inches over that whole 30 miles, you're not going to get a lot of curvature. So what you're doing is removing the accumulation of the distance and segmenting it into like chunks that are more accurate. And that's not what's happening with the camera. When you've got the camera and you're pointing at the horizon, you've got one block of 30, 40, 50 miles, and the light is it's being refracted from the lens over that whole distance, but it's not being segmented every couple of 100 feet. So what you're doing is removing the error.
So this conversation will continue on the after show, which you can tune in at 0400 hours GMT to catch on my second channel. Once this live stream ends, there'll also be the pre-show, and if you missed the first debate, it'll replay after the pre-show plays out for the first time on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. I've just put a link in the chat, or there's a link in the info box if you're watching this on the re-upload. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you in the next video, or maybe in my second channel's live chat.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!